Welcome back. This is Newsfile, and here on Newsfile we put Ghana first. Newsfile is proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and as close as a partner. MTN, everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tank, it's strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients, our passion. International Facilities Management Association and Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. So I've been joined by my honorable gentlemen. Joining me in studio, we have Frederick Emisa, who is technical advisor to the Minister for Finance. Frederick, welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
Yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. And next to Frederick is my very good friend, Richard Ahiagba, who is Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party. Richard, welcome.
It will be nice to see you.
Nice seeing you too. Next to Richard, we have my senior at the bar, lawyer and senior vice president of Imani Africa, lawyer Kofi Bentel. Kofi, welcome.
Thank you.
I hope you're doing well.
Good. Yes,
Fantastic.
I am.
Fantastic. And then, Professor of Finance and Economics at the University of Ghana, Legon, Professor Godfred A. Bokwen. Prof, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
I hope you're doing well.
Good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners. Yes, I'm doing well. How's the economy is doing? That's a compliment.
That's a good one. Fantastic. So maybe I'll start with you, Frederick, because you are from the Ministry of Finance. You would recall that within the week, Cocoa Board issued a statement.
Yes.
And even before I ask my question, let me remind our viewers and our listeners that one more guest will be joining us via Zoom, Nana Eduna II. He is spokesperson for the Ghana Cocoa Farmers Association and also a cocoa entrepreneur. So he will join us via Zoom, as I said. Frederick, I'll come back to you. And
sure.
The statement was simple. It sought to compare the farmgate price in Ghana to other countries in West Africa and concluded that Ghana is paying some good cash to our cocoa farmers. I've read elsewhere and I've heard some people say, and in fact I interviewed Dr. Randy Abe on the 4th of August when the new price was announced. And he made the point that he is expecting La Côte d'Ivoire to name their price for the 2025-2026 season. So would the statement not be premature in terms of the comparison?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners. I would say that to start with the price comparison, yeah. And we say this because we just want to project, or we just want to state that we are not doing badly when it comes to welfare of the cocoa farmer. I mean, the reason why these comparisons are being done is because of the idea that governments may be in a way shortchanging the cocoa farmer. But you see, before I go on for us to go into the analysis, let me just give a brief context of what the cocoa industry was when we took over and where we are taking it to, vis-a-vis where we are now. Now, you recall that, we took over a cocoa industry which was debt-ridden, a cocoa industry with its regulator in debt of over 32 billion Ghana cedis. We also were in essence, what that means is that the regulator itself was hampered in the delivery of its regulatory mandates. To the extent that we for about 30 years, we went to the international markets, syndicated markets. But for the last couple of years, we were not able to because of the nature or the state of the regulator. What it meant was that we ceded the role local players were playing, especially the local ABCs were playing, to foreigners, being we were not able to raise the funding to fund them. So currently, as we speak, it is foreigners or foreign entities which play a heavy role in the transportation or in the value chain of our cocoa, which portends a danger because I mean, one day, if they pack their bag and baggage and go, how do we manage our cocoa industry? So this was a situation we came to meet. Now, we also came to meet an FOB price. And it is the whole pricing issue that is bringing about this whole conversation. The FOB price currently announced, first of all, is a fulfillment of President Mahama's promise to give at least 70% of the international FOB price to cocoa farmers. So let's just get that. That President Mahama has fulfilled his promise of giving cocoa farmers 70% of the FOB price. Now, you may say 70% of the FOB price, so what? We compare that to what he inherited, where the FOB price was, I mean, if you look at the average cocoa FOB price for 2023 and even 2024, it was going for around 7,300. But government, in calculating the farm gates, the previous NPP government calculating the farm gates, sets the farm gates at 4,800. So even though the international market price was quoting on average was quoting 7,200, government then set it at 4,800, and then went on to pay farmers 3,100 of the farm gates. So if you do a bit of calculation, I mean, on the face of it, government may say that I was paying farmers, let's say 63.9%. But if you compare it with the market, government was paying just about 40% of the farm gates, compared to around 70% or 70% currently that President Mahama is paying.
But that's also 70% of the FOB price.
The FOB price. Mm-hmm. But our FOB price is what the international FOB price is. We have not marked it down. The average FOB price, projected FOB price, is around 7,200, which we have struck the 70% on the fully and given it to the farmer. As compared to an FOB price, which was around 7,300, a markdown was made to about 4,850, and then 63%.
Yeah, but to the ordinary cocoa farmer, his interest will be in the farm gate price. At the end of the day, that's what is coming into his or her pocket. And when you look at the farm gate price and you do the comparison, you raise it by just some 4.1% as compared to the 3,100 the NPP paid.
Yes, in Cedi terms.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because we pay them in Cedi.
We pay them in Cedi. Mm-hmm. But I just wanted to lay the foundation that the conversation President Mahama, or the promise President Mahama gave, was in respect of the FOB price, which he has kept.
That's the 70%.
That's the 70%.
The accusation has been made that some leading members of your party also promised farm gate price of some 6,000 Ghana.
In the circumstance of that time. In the circumstance of that time. At that time, the rate at which the Cedi was being used to convert the dollar was 16.
It was actually 15.5.
Okay. So the rate at which it was higher. Now, we are doing about 10.25.
Sure.
And, I mean, we say that we want the economy to improve. The Cedi has done so well. That is why we have a lower rate now. Now, to compensate for that, that is why the 70% is so critical. It's important to say that it is an increase, albeit you may want to say that not significant. Not significant. But you see, if you want to work it with the 16%, the 15.5, you will realize that, I mean, for pound, you realize that is quite a significant increase. To say that because the Cedi has appreciated and that in nominal terms, the Cedi value, the increase in the Cedi value may not be the same as the nominal terms increase of the dollar value, is to say that maybe we might as well go to bed and allow our currency or allow the macroeconomy to do whatever it wants to do. Whatever we do, something must give. But the most important thing is that President Mahama has kept his promise. Now, we are looking at the livelihood of the cocoa farmer. Yes. We are not just looking at some nominal amounts of money. We are looking at, in the midst of all this, what can the cocoa farmer do with that 51,000 per bag? Okay. Sorry, per ton. Mm-hmm. Sorry, per ton. Okay. We are looking at a cocoa farmer who now, when he goes to buy fuel, he's paying less for a liter of fuel. We are looking at a cocoa farmer, when he goes to buy a bag of maize, he's paying less for a bag of maize. When he goes to buy cooking oil, he's paying less for cooking oil. When he goes to buy rice, he's paying less for rice. So what we are saying is that...
You mean now?
Now.
How about a bag of cement?
You see, all prices may not go down the same way. But I'm telling you that major components or major things that used to determine the standard of living of the people, of the cocoa farmer and the ordinary Ghanaian has decreased, thereby improving the standard of living of the cocoa farmer in general. Now, what I'm saying is that, you see, it is important for us to put everything in context and understand that the producer price increase from $3,100 to $5,040, which is about 62%.
You mean the FOB?
The FOB.
Yes.
The FOB, which was a promise kept by President Mahama, is very significant. We shouldn't downplay that, because so within the second quarter, do you know that President Mahama's government was paying almost 100%, was giving almost 100% of the FOB price to cocoa farmers?
Because of the performance of the Cedi?
Yes, because of the performance of the Cedi. Even though the Cedi was trading around 10 points, the rate we are, President Mahama kept the rates at the 15.5 for the second half of the year, or the second quarter of the year. So literally, everything we had, we were giving it to the farmers. I mean, I'm saying this to show the commitments of President Mahama or the NDC government to the plight of the cocoa farmer. And you see, let me, I just want us, Obi, I just also...
You end on that for me. I have Nana on the line. He is a cocoa farmer himself, so maybe he would appreciate some of the points you're raising. So make your final point.
Yes, my final point is that in addition to this increase in both the dollar and the Cedi value or the farmgate price, President Mahama is also, we are also giving, free fertilizers, free insecticides, free spraying machines, fungicides, and free flower inducers. And we are also launching the tertiary scholarship for children of cocoa farmers. So all in all, we are seeing a significant improvement in the livelihood of the cocoa farmer, not just in nominal terms, but in real terms.
Very well. Just to add that the tertiary scholarship will take effect from the 2026-2027 academic year. And the free fertilizer and all the good stuff he mentioned would kick in as and when it's ready. But let me speak to Nana Eduna, the second, who is joining us via Zoom. Nana, if you can hear me, good morning. Nana, please unmute so we can hear you.
Good morning, sir.
Fantastic.
And greetings to your viewers and listeners.
Fantastic. We are happy to have you on.
Yes, sir, go on.
Super. I believe you heard Frederick, who is the technical advisor to the Minister in charge of Finance, telling us about some of the good things this government has done for cocoa farmers in terms of the percentage of the FOB they are paying to the cocoa farmer in Ghana. They've kept their promise of 70% of the FOB price. Good news, right?
I laugh. Good news. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers, listeners. My name is Nana Eduna II, and importantly, I'm speaking from underneath a cocoa tree. Importantly, and right in the city of Accra, where we've opened our Heritage and Cacao Heritage and History Museum. I mean, because without going back to understand the full story of how we got here, it's difficult for people like the technical advisor, who's for want of a better, who's speaking a lot of fine technical financial jargon, but really on the ground and in real life practice, it doesn't really mean much. Just to answer or just to respond to, first, I'd like to say that this notion of free is actually very false, because whatever that is used to run the operations of cocoa board, to import fertilizer through procurement contracts, to cronies of politicians, etc., actually comes from the deduction of the price that cocoa board and the government sell at the London terminal market price. And so that is actually part of what we cocoa farmers are actually putting in. So for anybody to come and tell us that the thing is free is actually deceptive. So let's get that fact very, very clear. You know, people talk about scholarships but if you don't actually even have the basic fundamentals right from primary school in terms of the suffering and the hardships that some of the farmers experience, how do you then benefit from tertiary education and free scholarships? You know, the history of a lot of these incentives of free stuff for cocoa farmers that people talk about, and let's start right from the Cocoa Marketing Board scholarship, which Kwame Nkrumah instituted, was because it was seen as an incentive to encourage or to more like supplement what cocoa farmers at the time were giving up for the development of the country. Over time, there's been a lot of abuse of these privileges and these systems, whether through cronyism, through political mismanagement, through stuff like the syndicated loan for about 32 years continuously, etc. But let me come back to a very important point. You see, to run a business, and cocoa is a business, unfortunately, currently, what's happening in Ghana is that cocoa has been lumped more, is being seen more as a political football. But running the cocoa sector is a business. And running a farm, operating a cocoa farm, is a business. None of we cocoa farmers are employed by government. Not a single one of us. We are free private entities. It is just because of the way we've structured our cocoa system from the colonial era, that is why we are stuck with, or we are hamstrung with this cocoa board system, or this so-called statutory monopoly. But let me answer again and emphasize very importantly. Before you actually put a price to something as a business person, you have a cost of production.
Yeah.
A cost of production means the cost of utilization of land, how much the inputs that you cost. Importantly also, labor. The cost of labor, especially in the cocoa sectors, has increased astronomically for two factors. One, competing with galamsey or the illegal gold mining. Two, this whole entry into our system of the Okada, where the young men rather would prefer to ride bikes, than actually go and provide labor on the farms, which is paid labor anyway. Three, another factor which a lot of people don't realize, free SHS. And so the opportunity for people to be educated, fine, that's okay. But these have had significant impact on both the availability, these three things have had a significant impact on both the availability plus the cost of labor. Now, if you factor all these things, plus the fact that a lot of this so-called free stuff that they talk about, eventually one gets sold, and two, it's not even available at the right time that the inputs are needed. The third, the last most important thing is that when you look at the average age of the cocoa farmer, it's actually pushing on past 60, 65. Now, there are many very, very good reasons why we are not attracting younger people into cocoa. And it's very simple. If we are still relying on the cutlass and the hoe, which in itself is expensive because of how much can one person do, the need for a proper price to be paid such that we, the farmers, can invest in technology and simple handheld tools, simple handheld machines, etc., that are powered by lithium batteries, etc. that actually improve the efficiency. You know, so somebody
So you've made some really cogent points, but government has made the argument simply that, but for the fact that the cedi is performing so well against the dollar, maybe the farmgate price would have been bigger than what they are paying now. In the last cocoa season, the government then had a cedi to dollar exchange of 15.5. Now they are doing 10.25. So even when the FOB price is higher, they are paying 5,040. But because you have to measure that against the prevailing cedi to dollar rate, that's how come they are paying what they are paying now. So you cannot blame them, can you?
Can I respond to that and say that, you know, it's been said a couple of times, and I shared a Fitch article with your producer. I don't know whether you got hand of it.
Yes,
you know, there are very, very simple, straightforward fiscal and operational constraints within our current cocoa model. There's a lot of waste, there's overemployment, there's a bloated bureaucracy, and so many other things, which is actually sitting on our ability to give the end producer, the farmer, the right appropriate price. Listen, I can mention off the top of my head the divisions of Cocoa Board. Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana, CRIG, absolutely critical research. Cocoa Marketing Company, CMC, recharge of foreign operations, etc. Absolutely critical, can be done in a different way. Cocoa Quality Control Company, QCC, absolutely critical. Important for quality, absolutely critical. Cocoa Health and Extension Division, CHED, can be done away with. They should go and farm. Seed Production Division, they can be done away with. They should go and farm. All those skills are sitting. Look, if you sent an email to Cocoa Board right now, it will take you 20-something days or whatever to even even if you get a response.
Really?
There's such inefficiency in the system. What is public affairs? What does public affairs know about cocoa? There's so much that we can do without in this our current artificial intelligence, technology, whatever. What's all this waste for? Is it jobs for the boys or is it jobs for the girls? No, let's get serious about how we restructure and let's have an honest discussion. We cannot continue doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome.
No, you hold on for me. I'll come back to you. Just hold on for me. I'll come back to you. I think you've raised some really interesting perspectives. Richard, let me hear your opinion on this. Government has said that we are where we are because of the effective management of our Forex. So now they are using 10.25. You used in the last season 15.5. And that's how come cocoa farmers are getting what they are getting now. But for the good performance of the cedi, maybe they would be paying a little over 5,000 Ghana cedis farmgate price. That has been the argument. What do you think?
The non-argument. That's deceptive.
Really?
It is completely deceiving farmers. You know, the whole NDC setup, Obi, has been live from day one. All of the 2024 campaign, at least I'm focusing on that because that's where the promise of we're going to pay cocoa farmers more came to light. Some of them went as far as saying that we're going to pay 7,000. The finance minister, who you advised, campaigned in his constituency, telling people that this government, the Akufo-Addo government, was keeping their money, and that when he comes, he'll pay them 6,000. In fact, after January 10th or so, he had an event where he said he will pay 6,000. In fact, that gave a farmer confidence to say that what he is going to pay is good because they have struggled for years with poor pricing. It's his published document. Okay? Now, so the question is, Obi, what is all this story? President Mahama showed us how to detect if somebody is backtracking and somebody is lying from what he has said he will do, and then he's changing his position. He says that when the person begins to stammer, begin to say, then you know the person is lying. My brother here, technically based on President Mahama's definition, he's just been lying to us. And the farmer who practically was telling us says that everything he was saying is fine English. That's it. You haven't said much. Look, when they were saying they will pay 70%, if you take 70% off the price we offer, FOB, which is 49,000 or so per ton.
48,000
per ton, 70% of that is not 6,000. But that was the impression you created. You said you were going to pay people 6,000. Now you have come to power. Now you are making argument about 70% and that is promise achieved. You didn't say that your finance minister didn't say 70%. If 70% does not equal 6,000, then you have not fulfilled your promise.
No, it's 70% of the FOB, which is in dollars.
Yes.
So you would have to do the conversion.
I agree.
And then you get the farmgate price in cedis.
Yes. I'm just keeping this very fundamental. You do all those calculations per bag. We're looking at a promise that says you're going to pay 6,000. Okay. And the finance minister said that without compulsion in January, after he knew he was going to be finance minister, says that he will pay 6,000. Now they are making argument about FOB exchange rate that is gone down, and so therefore wickedly that is affecting them. It doesn't make any sense. Your promise is independent of whatever situation, because when you were making it, you knew the dynamics of the market will not be held constant.
Well, the argument has been that they made that promise based on the prevailing conditions at the time.
And I'm saying that
now the conditions may have changed, especially the cedi to dollar.
No problem. So the time that they were making the promise, they will pay 70%,
yes,
which is indicating that they would offer a better price to the farmer to win an election. Would 70% of the prevailing price then be equal to 6,000? The answer is no. The answer is no. But then they dribble farmers to believe that that's what they were coming to do. So now, if you have named the price, give the price. Otherwise, you lie to Ghanaians. They owe Ghanaians apology.
Irrespective of the conditions.
Nothing would suffice. They owe Ghanaians apology. He made a point about, there's a point that government kept the price, I think, second half of this year when prices were, coming down, and therefore they kept the 3,100 price, and assuming that they have given farmers 100%. That's another big lie. Look, Ivory Coast, who you always want to compare yourself to, in the second quarter, they actually increased price. They did increase. You didn't. And you held it there and say that you have done well by the farmers. You haven't. So the thing is not about speaking English about this thing. It's basic. People have produced a crop for a season. You are going to buy it. You promise you will buy it at a higher price. Now, in fact, Obi, this whole exchange rate conversation is even another fallacy. Because really, and I wonder, they announced this new price in August, right?
Yes.
And they used 10.25.
10.25.
Okay. They used 10.25. Obi, today, what is the exchange rate?
Almost hitting 11.
11. So are they going to recalibrate it? Remember when they were in opposition, they were talking about they will do spot pricing. Okay? So is that going to feature? Because if you calculate the price now with the exchange rate now, it's going to be more than the 3,228. So is that what you are going to do, sir?
But can that be done?
I'm asking him, he's here. Are you going to do that?
You want an answer?
Yes. Are you going to do it? Because your target is 6,000. Your minister said it. I'm going to read it towards the end of this. He said it. And the farmer took solace in that. In fact, there's one economist, Mary Opon, actually cautioned the minister that what he is saying, is he able to deliver when he was making that promise? And here we are. It's just shown that the minister cannot do it. In fact, the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, at a program, one of his Thank You Toll programs, was saying to Ghanaians and cocoa farmers, that look, the chief executive of Cocoa Board, my good brother, Dr. Randy Abe, will announce, I told him that in August they will announce a cocoa price, and it will be a very, very, very good price. And at that program, he was urging people who were not cocoa farmers to go and find land and start planting cocoa. Okay? So that creates a certain impression of something groundbreaking going to happen. Now here we are, a measly 128 cities and 75 persons or so. How groundbreaking is that? 6,000. And the increase they can afford is less than 130 Ghana cedis. So the NDC owes Ghanaians apology. First of all, the larger Ghanaian population an apology, specifically cocoa farmers an apology. Because what they told them, for which reason, what is a Kwame Mensah or some cocoa farmer like that in Western region, I read the publication for you, said that they are happy for once that they are going to get a better deal. They told Ghanaians that the new patriotic party, the Akufo-Addo government, is keeping their money. Because they could pay them 6,000 and we are not paying them. And the deception there is that if you do the 70% calculation, they say it's groundbreaking. My brother said President Mahama has fulfilled his promise. And I brought the social contract for purpose. If you make promises to people, you must deliver it. Otherwise, Obi, where we are heading to, our democracy will be taken for a joke. If politicians will sit on platform, strategically come up with lies, well-reasoned lies, and they carry it through, even after they have won, instead of tracking back, they still further that conversation.
But Richard, to be fair, because we don't pay cocoa farmers in dollars, you cannot have this argument without recourse to the prevailing Forex rate. That would be disingenuous, because at the end of the day, you have to convert. And in conversion, if the Cedi is doing well, something would have to give, as he said.
That's English he's spoken, but the point is that, don't they know that when they made the promise? They're not naive, are they? They've been in government before. They were making the promise. The finance minister, January 2025, made the promise to pay 6,000. Are you saying that he doesn't know all these dynamics? Then we're in a much bigger trouble if he didn't know that. You get it? He knows everything. He knows what it was. Don't they know that the MPP was dealing with all those circumstantial matters? For which reason we're paying what we're paying? They say, no, we're keeping their money. They knew that. My good brother, didn't you know? You're the advisor. You should know. Well. Didn't you know that? Did you or not?
You want him to answer?
Yes, of course. Otherwise, then we're in a much bigger trouble. Because they knew. But what it was that it was a calculated lie they were forwarding. And they knew that they can deceive Ghanaians by that. And Obi, I want to read this thing.
Finally.
Finally. I'll do that. Okay. This is a farmer. You see, a farmer who grows cocoa. I'm just getting to the middle of the story. A farmer who grows cocoa all around farmers who grow cocoa all around the nation have expressed relief and hope. Western region farmer Kwame Mensah stated, this raise will enable us to better our farms and provide for our families after too long of struggling with poor pricing. Okay?
And this is
Ghana Web.
Okay.
Yes, 10th January 2025. And there in the same thing, the economist that I referred to, Mary Opon, told the minister, and I can even read that, to say that he was saying to the minister that what he's promising, the pledge he's making, she's not sure he can keep that pledge. But the finance minister went full steam ahead to say that that's what he's going to deliver.
Very well.
Now my good brother is here, running around in circles, arguing 70% of FOB, which is not equal to 6,000, talking about every other thing that they gave almost 100% to farmers second quarter of the year, which is not close, which is not 6,000. So the question I am asking is that, what has happened to your promise to pay 6,000?
Very well. Frederick, hold on for me. I'll come back to you. Let me go to lawyer Kofi Bentel. Kofi, so you heard the spokesperson of the cocoa farmers, and essentially, he thinks the bureaucracy managing cocoa in Ghana is too huge. And that's how come they are not getting the full benefit of their toil as cocoa farmers. You agree?
Absolutely correct. Indeed, he's not the first person who has said it. We have said it in the money many times in the past. We've said, from first principles, do we need cocoa board? Why was cocoa board created? When it was created, the idea was cocoa board will be a help to farmers. by doing things for them that they couldn't do for themselves because the idea was that they were not organized. So it was mobilizing help to farmers. And the way to deal with that was, okay, mobilize the cocoa, sell it, take a bit of it, and for instance, do mass spraying, do all those things. That was the original idea. And from when independence and we set it up and we were working, it was good. It helped farmers and it helped the country. It mobilized for the country. Because you had some people who were thinking about farmers and thinking about bettering their lot. An important point about Nana, who just spoke, that man you just saw is the potential future of the cocoa industry if we abolish cocoa board. We have said over the years, you can check, that as we speak, and from an Imani point of view, per analysis, from a first principles point of view, cocoa board is a net negative to this country. Yes. If cocoa board did not exist, the gentleman who just spoke and people like him can organize better, export their cocoa, make better prices. Today, even today, with the promises from the politicians, they are promising to pay them 70%. That's a 30% tax. We have said also in the past, fortunately I have Prof. Bopin here, he's a fellow and he will do the economic numbers. We have said in the past that cocoa farmers in this country are amongst the most taxed. How do you tax poor people to that extent? And for what? It is Prof. Bopin who said that the cocoa board has more V8 than cocoa beans. And he's right. And I'm saying, look, as we speak, you have that huge behemoth, that huge organization. It is just making people rich and farmers poor. And today, as we speak, cocoa board is a net negative to the average farmer and a net negative to this economy. Look at the debt hanging on them. Who do you think is going to pay that? That is impacting our city. All of us are paying for that. When you start doing the analysis, you realize that we've treated cocoa board like we've treated every other, state entity. Good ideas, and then you put people there, and it simply makes people rich and makes the country poor. Cocoa board is in the same league as other entities like Tamale Refinery. Same story. Great ideas should have been, a positive on our economy. It starts just leaking off the economy, and then individuals are getting rich. Busts.
But would that mean we should scrap cocoa board completely?
I'm telling you.
If it's inefficiency in management, why don't we fix that?
You think we haven't tried fixing it? We've been saying these things, and people think we are talking ideology. All right? The problem is government. You have people there are too many people wearing suits sitting in cocoa board who don't listen to Nana. The gentleman who just spoke. Did you get the intelligence and the knowledge of the cocoa industry? How many people in cocoa board understand it like he does? And why does anybody think that those guys sitting in cocoa board wearing suits can do a better job than Nana? So why should Nana be paying them? And this idea that people are revulsed by, nobody owes anybody a living. When a cocoa farmer is struggling in the farm, and you come and say, I am going to help run your life, and I'm going to make it better, and you end up taking 30% of his money. And by the way, please, it is extremely disingenuous to use the exchange rate at any point in time.
Why so?
Let me tell you, when the currency of a country strengthens, the potential economic benefit is far higher than the downside. People tell you the theories about export, whatever it is. We have had damaged currency and our export hasn't increased. But if it strengthens, everything gets better. The simple thing, and I'll leave it to the economists, the simple thing is this. If you promise farmers 6,000, you can pay them 6,000 in stages and you take the hit.
Government should take the hit.
Absolutely, why not? You're taxing them 30%. And who should take the hit, you or them? Who is doing the work? So they should stop this argument about it's the exchange rate. The simple question is, who should take the hit? If you say 6,000, pay 6,000. Because you see, if the other thing happens, they are not going to flip it. Okay, so look, dealing with the broad issues, I'm saying, look, cocoa board at a point was a positive. It was a vehicle that added to what we had. If you spend 10 cedis on cocoa board will deliver 100 cedis to you because it helped us. In fact, the building of the University of Ghana, if you know the history of it, okay, they came up with this simple idea. Let's take a bit of money from each cocoa bag. They took it in a targeted way. That's why we have that institution there.
That's why we have a Kwafu Hall.
That's why it's named Kwafu Hall. Okay? The cocoa scholarships. He said, okay, these people,
let's organize something and help their kids to grow. People sitting in Accra who can't tell the difference between a cocoa
tree and
are the ones. But I am making a simple point, and the simple point I'm making is from first principles. It does not make sense to take the money of poor, hard-working farmers and give it to Accra-based suit-wearing people sitting in air conditions. Look at the number of people working in cocoa board, and for these people not to be helping the farmers, but essentially leeching off them, sapping them, and sucking them dry. If we collapse cocoa board today, Ghana's economy will be better and farmers will be better. They can organize
But how would farmers be better, and how would the poor farmer in Seshioso organize better, export the cocoa beans from Ghana? How would he do it?
This idea of poor farmer from Seshioso, which is true in a certain sense, is very wrong in another sense. Listen, before cocoa board, before we established an organized system for buying and selling cocoa, farmers were selling and exporting cocoa. And indeed, the middle class in Ghana, the park grants, were either traders or cocoa farmers. It was cocoa that was making people rich. Go to your village now. When you see an old, well-built building, it used to belong to a cocoa farmer.
Yeah,
we have moved cocoa farmers, when they were on their own, from being the middle class and the upper middle class persons in this country who were feeding the gentlemen in Accra and made them poor. So this poor farmer, cocoa farmer from, you just saw a cocoa farmer. And you saw the intelligence coming out of that gentleman. On Zoom.
Cocoa farmer
On Zoom. Sitting on a cocoa tree. Okay? And so we have these concepts. And this is what leads to a situation where they say, oh, so somebody must organize and help them. And then you go and bring people who have no idea what cocoa farming is about. And then the next thing, they buy a series of V8s, they sit inside, and then that cocoa farmer has to fund their life, which has no bearing on them. Listen, we have therefore conceptualized this whole thing wrong.
Okay.
All right? And I'm saying from first principles, if the existence of cocoa board does not add to the cocoa industry, if indeed it is a net negative to the average farmer and a net negative to the economy of Ghana, from first principles, scrap it and let's start something afresh.
Very well.
It is possible that cocoa or cocoa board can organize to make cocoa better, but today they are not doing so. And I don't see a reason why you can't call Nana and a couple, and I've met a couple of them. A lot of chiefs, very educated, they're involved in cocoa farming. We have a situation today, let me tell you for a fact. The analysis shows that in the next 30 years, if we don't stop Galamsey, cocoa farming cannot compete against Galamsey. The economics is just not there. So we will lose our cocoa farms to Galamsey. So we really need to sit up and decide what we're going to do about cocoa industry. And cocoa board is the problem, not the solution.
Thank you. I'll bring Prof in, but and Prof, I would refer you to an article by Dennis Asare. Dennis is a senior research fellow, associate actually at Imani Africa. And he writes a very interesting article titled "Sweet Prices, Bitter Livelihood: The Reality of the Ghanaian Cocoa Farmer." And the data he shares is worrying. I mean, the fact that close to 70% of Ghanaian cocoa farmers cultivate just at most 2 hectares. And then that can give them close to some $8-9 a year.
Yes.
And where it gets even worrying is the fact that when you take the average cocoa farmer in Ghana, who should earn a living income of $1.96 every day, is doing way less than that. Based on even the current $3,228 we are paying them, they are still not making that average $1.96 pesos for close to 70% of cocoa farmers. And that's really scary.
You mean that that's
what is wrong?
They are in extreme poverty, essentially.
Too much. Yeah. What is wrong with the economics?
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to our cherished listeners. And my big boss is here, so I was wondering, it's like he has taken all the points out of
to talk about.
Okay, thank you very much. So I agree with Kofi largely. Look, the pricing regime, the management structure has only left the cocoa farmer poorer. Let me take you a little back into history. When colonization changed our economic model from food dependency to cash crops, cocoa farmers were the ultimate beneficiaries.
They were the richest.
Yes. They were the richest. They were the richest. When we took over, when fellow Ghanaians took over, I hope you understand that.
I get you.
This is the results. My father was a cocoa farmer. I mean, and we talk about cocoa scholarships.
Yeah.
Maybe Cocoa Board should do the analysis and tell us over the years how many cocoa farmers' children have truly benefited from the administration of cocoa scholarship and all of that over the years. And all, look, you just have to go to the villages and see what cocoa farmers are going through. But you see, if you look at what we are talking about right now, it's years of neglect.
Sure.
So we are putting all the blame now on the current administration. Look, I don't want to go into the politics of it. And if you are talking about apology, both the NPP and DC, they owe Ghanaians apology. Big time. I won't go into the details of all of that, but I'm going to talk about just 3 things that have heightened this discussion. 1, exchange rates. The aggressive strengthening of the currency has more or less, has its own negative effects.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're using the exchange rate of, let's say, last year, at this price, dollar price, you will see that the discussion would have changed and all of that. And it was a bit interesting when the minister actually quoted the new cocoa price in USD, because that is a story worth telling.
Yeah.
But if you translate it to
cedis,
then I hope you understand that. So that was, I would say, a smart one there, right, and all of that. But it's not only that cocoa farmers are the highest paying tax or taxed. There's another way that we also cheat the cocoa farmer through lower exchange rate. Okay. So here you are saying that you are passing on, or you are retaining 30% of the FOB. But then the exchange rate you use over a period end up also not passing on the gains to the farmer. So for instance, we do our calculation, okay, we are using 10.25 and all of that, but really, if you check the real exchange rate or what is in the market today is higher than that. Over a long period until the next pricing window, the farmer doesn't really get all of this. So it's not just the 30% we are holding, but because we are also using a lower exchange rate, okay, in converting the USD to cedis, again, it affects the farmer. You recall 2012, 13 thereabout, there was an interesting discussion between Cocoa Board and Bank of Ghana.
Yeah.
Okay, where Bank of Ghana was using a lower exchange rate to buy the cocoa proceeds, and they were reversing it in the market and opening, and they were making profit and all of that. So, look, we've adopted all kinds of, look, when we say we are smart, all that it means, let's cheat fellow Ghanaians. Let's adopt this, and then Kofi has also spoken about the inefficiencies of Cocoa Board. Look, it's not just Cocoa Board. If you check our state-owned enterprises, it's hurting to look at even the losses from there that the ultimate taxpayer has to come and assume. Let's go back. 2025 budget. In fact, not just 2025. You can check 2023, 2024. But I'm talking about 2025 budget. We have an allocation of 33.6 billion Ghana cedis that we call other expenditure. Please, what is this other expenditure? I hope you understand that. Essentially to cover for the inefficiencies of state-owned enterprises.
Private pockets.
We are covering for their inefficiencies largely. So the question is, if we were to run our state-owned enterprises efficiently, we could be making savings. This could have gone into maybe critical infrastructure or something like that. But I also see, look, I mean, let's be fair here. I see a certain genuine effort on the part of government to meet cocoa farmers
halfway.
I mean, we can't take that away from them. Look, if you, we can't take that away from them.
Agreed.
And then
you mean the issue of free fertilizers
and all of that, and even if you look at the FOB price and what they are passing on in terms of USD to farmers, I can see some improvement from that. But I think we should be looking at a whole reform in that cocoa value chain that makes that sector attractive to young people and then attractive to business people. We need to adopt a business approach to the cocoa industry so that we don't leave it to just peasant farmers who do 4 acre or so and all of that, so that we have commercial a plantation of cocoa, because we think that our future lies in there rather than just this kind of, well, if you like, otherwise in the next 10 years or so, we will not be talking about cocoa here, because actually some of them, if you do the analysis, they may be better off maybe trading off their farmland, cocoa land, for maybe for galamsey, because if you look at how much they are getting on a daily basis, the analysis you refer to and all of that, they are doing all those analysis. Cocoa farmers are confused. They are wondering which way to go and all of that. So please, I think that this is a failure.
A quick statistic. Cocoa Board employs about 10,000 people across Ghana.
The staff of Cocoa Board?
Yes. And has a monthly payroll of about $12 million.
$12 million?
Every month.
12 million cedis or dollars?
Dollars. Check. About, if you look at the emoluments that they pay on a monthly basis, so they are around 10,000. And by the way, I'm not sure anybody knows the exact figure. But you see, we say these things, you're shocked.
Very.
So I would want somebody to tell me it's not true. Because we checked and that's the information we got. I just checked again right now. $12 million converted to Ghana cedis being paid to some people every month to take care of cocoa farmers.
Very well. So I think it's only fair that I allow Frederick to deal with some of the issues, and then I conclude with Nana, who is still on Zoom. Yes, Frederick, you've heard all the analysis.
Sure. On Kofi Bensel's first principle, whether we even need Cocoa Board at all, that's a philosophical argument we can make, and even extend it to other state agencies or other authorities or other regulatory authorities in the economy. I mean, we cannot seem to suggest that these agencies are not important. And Cocoa Board, for example, I mean, we are saying that there's a supposed tax of 30% on the farmer, but the farmer doesn't transport, the farmer doesn't export, the farmer doesn't ship, the farmer doesn't look for farmers, the farmer doesn't look for all the things that would...
They don't pay LBCs.
They don't pay LBCs, all the things that would take the cocoa from the farm to the destination in Japan. So we shouldn't just simplify it as though
all of that cost is in the remaining 30%.
All of that cost is the remaining 30%.
Sorry. Farmers don't do that. The buyers go to the farmgate and they handle that stuff. So I don't mean to banter with that. Let's be clear. Farmers never do that.
I mean, I'm saying that the Cocoa Board, apart from we create an impression that maybe it's just an entity which is just there to siphon money from farmers, provide other services. I mean, for the broader conversation about whether they are being efficient and all those things, it's something we are looking at. It's something we can talk about. And that is why there's a Cocoa Board restructuring going on. Another finance minister mentioned what it is that Cocoa Board effectively, in the next amendment that is coming to their act, will be banned from undertaking all these quasi-fiscal activities, the cocoa rules and everything. And we announced that we have banned them actually from going on with these cocoa roads and other fiscal activities. All the outstanding cocoa road projects have been transferred to the Ministry of Roads and Highways to undertake them. So there is an effort by this government to ensure that there's some efficiency in the operations of cocoa. Now
but beyond what government has done with the cocoa roads, Kofi speaks about the sheer numbers in terms of the staff of Cocoa Board and how much we are spending on them. Proper reform should look at that as well. No?
Excellent. So that's why there is an overall restructuring going on. And the economy, my other economists will tell you that apart from providing or ensuring efficient markets, entities are also they are set up for other reasons. Okay, provide employment, they provide regulation, they provide stability. So there are other reasons where these entities are. But it's a broader conversation we all have in the restructuring of Cocoa Board, which is happening. Richard says that we lied when we said that they were keeping cocoa farmers. We didn't lie. And I mentioned here that the FOB price they quoted for which they paid 63% to farmers, 4,850, is actually lower than the prevailing FOB price at that time. Yeah. It was around 7,300. So they were keeping 2,450 of cocoa farmers. They didn't declare.
Cocoa farmers' money.
Of cocoa farmers' money. That is why we said they were keeping cocoa farmers' money. So that's what we mean.
But they also told you that in terms of the FOB, the average for the year was that amount.
So the average for the year was 7,300. You can check. Cocoa price. The average for the year was 7,300.
But they put it
4,800. And
from that they paid 3,100.
Then they paid 3,100. You understand?
Yeah.
We have quoted the average price as it is, 7,200. That's on the international market price. And hit the 70% off on it. And quoted the 5,050.
Okay.
So we didn't lie when we said they were keeping cocoa farmers' money.
Very well.
That is number one. The other thing is that, you see, you mentioned commercial farming and all these things. And part of the restructuring going on in there right now, as we speak, government, I should say, is currently working to acquire over 200,000 hectares of land. Because you see,
200,000 hectares of land
for cocoa plantation.
But that's huge.
That is huge.
Government is going to farming now.
No, government is not going to farming. Government is just identifying, and the private sector
will then take
because
over.
See, let's admit, because of the land tenure system and all these things, you need the sovereign to sort of put its weight and then ensure that
it's a barrier to FDI.
It's a barrier. So a lot of work.
Economics.
A lot of work is going on into this. Of course, I mean, it's still in the works, right? So a lot of work is going on to it to ensure that we would have an environmentally stable way of ensuring that our cocoa farms are still, I mean,
very quick. I want to,
Is it a follow-up question?
Yeah, it is very important. One, do you appreciate that the nature of our cocoa industry is a smallholder one?
Yes.
And that has a connection to the quality of our cocoa, which gains a premium. The plantation model kills that. Ivory Coast is an example. Sorry, please.
Okay.
Answer this together.
Okay.
Have you considered the cocoa galamsey economics, which tells us today that in a trajectory of 30 years, cocoa is going to go down? Now, if you're going to go into cocoa hectares, okay, as plantation model, you appreciate the kind of science that is required and the kind of knowledge and expertise, which is very different. Is the government going there? Please, this is the last one.
Yeah.
How much have we budgeted for that project? And how sure are we that we are going to get money? Because I can tell you, whether NDC or MPP, that the money will be spent. But at the end of the day, we'll come and give excuses why it failed.
No, but I think you said the government is only acquiring the land.
No.
And the private sector will come.
So I said like 3 or 4 things.
Let me explain.
The economics of it. Okay, you go.
Relax. Relax. We are just serving the soup. You are drinking the food. You are drinking the soup. See, the issue about the viability of the cocoa industry, that is what is informing government to take this step of doing or taking a bold intervention. Our quality, Ghana's premium cocoa, as vis-a-vis the other countries, is sort of a technology we have developed, which will be incorporated. So all these things are being worked on. Please let me answer. like I said, all these things are being worked on. But the most important thing I wanted to respond to Professor.
Finish my own. If you do everything, the quality thing you're talking about, because of time we can't go there, but the plantation model does not preserve our quality.
You can't make that. Relax. You don't make that definite statement. No, don't make that definite statement.
If we have time, I'll explain.
No.
The way we dry the cocoa, the way our farmers use the smallholder system and their families
to dry their cocoa.
Dry it.
You can't get that in the plantation.
The plantation models can't do that.
So what makes you think
and
that?
it affects the quality.
What makes you think that the plantation model cannot dry the cocoa like we are drying?
Because has done that.
What makes you say that we'll do the same plantation like Ivory Coast is doing?
Oh, so you're going to do something. Somebody has done it next door, and you think you're going to.
No, but
it's still in the works. It's still in the works. That's what I'm saying. You I'm happy for you to try and develop the cocoa industry.
Ask him how they are going to do it.
But my worry, based on all this analysis we've done over the years, the money will be spent. I'm telling you, the first major problem, the Galamsey cocoa economy shows that cocoa cannot compete Galamsey. So if you do all of these things and we don't deal with Galamsey, forget it.
It will not work. Okay, finally, and let me bring Nana in.
So on the economics of things, I mean, I'm sure the paper will be out. You will read it. As usual, we would invite civil society like yourself and to critique.
I've seen bits of that.
Oh, we invite you.
We are restructuring plan.
So you can talk to our researchers, not money, palm oil, and all of that. So,
we always open ourselves. Yeah, we always open ourselves up. We put
I'm willing to give government the benefit of the doubt.
Yes. To critique whatever policy we are bringing to ensure that. But what I'm saying, the point or the crux of my argument is that there is an effort to restructure the cocoa sector and reduce or eliminate the inefficiencies therein. We admit that there are inefficiencies. That is why government is taking these steps to ensure that the cocoa sector is viable over the next 30 years and beyond, and then also it is viable now and we don't lose our cocoa industry.
Freddie, thank you. Nana, are you still on the line? Okay, I hear Nana will be rejoining any moment from now. I just wanted to find out. Nana, are you on now? Hello, Nana? Nana, please unmute and let me hear you.
Yes, I'm on now.
Fantastic. So as a farmer yourself, are you really expecting, or were you expecting the 6,000 Ghana cedis as promised?
Dodge that question and say that I would not even focus on pricing. I would just like to respond to a few of the things that were being discussed earlier on.
Okay.
You know, there's a conversation has to start and has to continue about how we restructure our cocoa sector for ourselves. Price is one part of the discussion. I think the most important part of the discussion is value addition of what we do with our cocoa such that we benefit and use it for ourselves. You know, this whole idea about going to do plantation and all that thing that it actually reflects financial people sitting down and making projections based on how much they are going to get. It has no consideration of the ecology or of the actual reality on the ground of what cocoa farming is or what it does. You know, first and foremost, as Mr. Benton mentioned, our quality depends very much on how we handle our cocoa. And we get a premium, and we actually impact the confectionery industry significantly. Because when big buyers are buying cocoa, they actually buy Ghana cocoa to flavor cocoa, not to use as just simple chocolate. No. We have a unique position in the cocoa sector because of the kind of way we do our cocoa. That's going to be lost with any commercial way. But let me just come back to responding to the commercial thing as well. You know, our basic foodstuffs, whether it is plantain, whether it is cassava, whether it is cocoa yam, whatever, come from the cocoa growing areas. Plus our wood stocks, which we've lost a lot of, emery, ofram, mahogany, whatever. So, look, cocoa is a mid-level forest crop. Cocoa is not a monocrop. So anybody who talks about plantations is actually saying we are going to do reforestation. Because without a forest, you cannot grow cocoa productively, properly, and to make a profit out of it. you can invest whatever technology, and I can tell you straightforward, what Cocoa Board will try and do is to contract out lands to Olam, to Cargill, to those big players that have the money and technology to put in irrigation and whatever. What are you saying to we smallholder farmers? Are you now coming to compete against us? Is that what you are suggesting?
So what would you rather government had done?
We are saying that we as a farmers, we are coming up with a Farmers Front, a United Farmers Board.
Okay.
You know, it's high time that we took more control exactly of what we have. You know, because, for example, myself, and again, just looking historically at how we have evolved. Look, a lot of the actual people who are doing farmers now, farming, cocoa farming right now, are not the landowners. We have a landowner-tenure system. And I'm a landowner in addition to being a farmer.
Okay.
You know, when you make the thing attractive, then you can do reinvestment. I'm able to do certain reinvestments because I add value. I process and I do different things with my cocoa. Plus, I run a cocoa ecotourism business, which brings in revenue. So I'm able to invest in simple things like handheld machines in our aboboya, etc. I'm able to give certain incentives to my farmers that I work with, such that I'm productive and professional. You know, until we start looking at this, rather than, I'm sorry, and I'm very amused at the way the politicians there are attacking each other and creating their own mini program, while we, the business and professionally independent people, are talking about cocoa as a business. Until we start to do actual costing and revenue appropriation, plus run the thing as a business, this whole thing about telling me that you're going to give me 6,000 or 10,000, meanwhile it doesn't cover my cost of production, plus you are now telling me you're going to give me free stuff, meanwhile it is stuff that you're actually taking from me. It's completely unfair and unrealistic. So let us have a genuine conversation. You know, and again, just to end on my note, you know, I attended an event yesterday and I just want to show it. Ghana to the world. This is about a restaurant owner who is actually in the US, who's actually doing food and etc. and doing simple stuff which he's actually trying to involve the use of cocoa differently, etc. We've got to start utilizing the thing ourselves first and foremost. And two, we've got to start looking at how we restructure and do things differently, whether it is a commodities exchange that we have in the West African sub-region, which is something the ICCU are looking at, whether we look at the independent model like the Ethiopians have done with their coffee, etc. There are ways in which we can do things differently. But sorry, to continue doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome is being foolish. And I'm sorry, this whole idea about this talk about plantation, whatever, it's almost like you are telling us and rubbing it on our nose that after messing up and cheating us, etc., you are now going to bring some foreign players to come and run our systems. No, it's not acceptable.
Very well. Nana, we are grateful. Thank you so much for the insight you've shared with us. We would have to make progress. Thank you. Nana is spokesperson for the Cocoa Farmers Association. Yes, Richard, a minute, and then I'll go for a break.
You know, Obi, respectfully, I want to disagree with Prof. When he says, I think he's being very generous, overly generous to this government. You see, when he says that both parties owe Ghanaians apology, it's not true. The NDC owe the cocoa farmer an apology for lying that they'll pay them 6,000 and they are not paying them. The exchange rate conversation Prof raised also, if we use even the 15.5, okay, that we use to calculate the 3,100, even if you use that, they won't get the 6,000 they were promised. So that's a complete lie, a criminal lie. They lied to the Ghanaians. So the question of my brother saying that, again, that they are providing what do you call free fertilizer and all those things, those are not new, right? Even under us, we went a step further. And
you did 50%.
Exactly.
So they paid farmers paid part in
Yes,
government,
but
they are doing it free.
Here is an additional, which is not going to be free anyway. The point we are making is that, look, even under us, you know about the living income differential.
Sure.
Per ton, $400 was earned for the farmer, okay? In addition to that, you remember the cocoa rehabilitation program that was done? Over $200 million was allocated.
The AFDB loan.
Exactly. To rehabilitate farms, for cocoa farmers. Cut down the trees.
What's happened to farms? What's happened to the farms?
Well, the farms
have aged.
Hold
The
on.
farms have aged. Where are the farms?
I don't think
Where are the farms you planted?
No problem. No problem.
Where are the farms you planted?
You are sitting in a grass where the farms planted.
You just hold on.
Guys, one at a time, please. One at a time, please.
Hold on.
One at a time.
So, Obi, whilst we were doing that,
The farms were supposed to lead to increase in production.
you have been interrupted minutes ago.
The monies were just squandered.
It's okay.
So you are saying what I'm saying.
Spending the money. Let me hear it and then we'll go and come back.
So whilst that was happening, the cocoa farmer was paid per hectare 1,000 Ghana cedis to support. So that was done. The idea that you were saying that where are the farms? That one, I can't answer that for you here.
It is in the annual production that you inherited.
Hold on, let me just conclude for you. So the truth of the matter is that, Obi,
15 seconds.
Yes, the truth of the matter is that the NDC lied to Ghanaians. This conversation about the inefficiency of Cocoa Board, that is well noted. But you see, my brother saying it is very rich, that they are going to deal with inefficiency by earning some lands and allocating and all that. The last time we heard the finance minister talk about inefficiency and how he's not going to tolerate it was in the case of ECG, right? That he will not compensate ECG's inefficiency by raising tariff. But what happened? He went ahead and passed the devil level.
I would have to go and come back.
That is the issue.
Listen,
That is the issue. You must apologize.
all the penny talk. This is what people should take away. At the end of this month, Cocoa Board will pay $12 million to 10,000 people to try and manage cocoa. They've been doing that for 30 years, and cocoa is going down. They can save that money.
Thank you. We'll pause here for a short break. When we come back, we'll deal with the Bank of Ghana and then GTEC after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Newsfile, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. So we just dealt with the issues of Cocoa Board, cocoa pricing, and all of that. But some few messages, and then we move on to the other issues. This one from Abuaje Boampong, watching us in Takrady, says, Obi, the whole structure of Cocoa Board is the problem. Appointment based on patronage, not merit. Key leadership positions within Cocoa Board are often filled as political rewards rather than based on technical expertise in agri, finance, or supply chain management. This leads to a lack of strategic vision and operational competence. That's from Abuaje Boampong. Abuaje, thank you. This one says, Obi, my granny who passed on about 3 years ago at age 115, was able to organize herself to farm acres of land while carrying others cocoa as labor to make more money at her young age to ensure her children are well educated. Through that, she was able to send her children to the University of Ghana in the 80s, as well as sponsoring some to the UK for a better life while she made a better living here. Now, through her hard work, myself and numerous children are now graduates and living our lives. But the sad point is that the whole village which she stayed to do all these is now turning into a Galamsey town in the Echima Impunua district of the Ashanti region. Because farmers are not making much compared to their work input. They prefer to give their land for illegal mining. None of her children or grandchildren, including myself, benefited from cocoa scholarship either. In fact, it has been years of neglect, and politicians must apologize to the cocoa farmers and stop politicizing this cocoa matter. It doesn't make the sector attractive anymore. Obi, a little perspective on the cocoa producer price. Is the current NDC position not inimical to the farmers? One, Interbank rate is not the real rate the farmers have to deal with, as they cannot get it from the banks and therefore have to go to the black market, making them worse off in input acquisitions. 2, prices are going up regardless of the exchange rate. And so pegging the price to the exchange rate does not improve their lot, as they have to go to the market. As they have to go to the market to buy with calibrated rates against real prices of goods and services. And listening to the farmer, how do you compete for labor with the alternative of Galamsey, where they get higher real wages per their effort? Steve here in Accra with this one. Quite a number of your messages, but this one says, Cocoa board is of little use in its current form, Obi. With my grandfather and uncles as cocoa farmers, couldn't access cocoa scholarship for my secondary school education, yet my schoolmates from Tafo and Bumso, whose parent and grandparent had no trace to cocoa farming, came to school with cocoa scholarship. It's a rip-off to farmers, simple and short. This one says, Obi, fantastic show. Our farmers are burdened with heavy taxes, unbelievable cement and building material cost, and cannot even afford basic tools like cutlasses and input. Is this not clear deception? Our farmers deserve truth, fairness, and dignity, but not excuses. Gusty man all the way from Brekum. So let me pause and let's move on to the next issue because of time. The Bank of Ghana came out with a statement this week, and I'll read for those who may not have heard. It says foreign currency cash payments to large corporates. The Bank of Ghana has observed with concern the growing practice of foreign currency cash withdrawals by large corporates. Example, bulk oil distribution companies, mining companies, and other similar actors that are not directly funded by prior foreign currency cash deposits. This practice exerts avoidable pressure on the foreign exchange market and undermines efforts to ensure stability. Accordingly, with immediate effect, all banks are directed to discontinue the payment of foreign currency to large corporates unless such transactions are fully supported by equivalent foreign currency cash deposits lodged by the same institution. Banks must retain proper documentation to confirm the source of funds for every payout. The Bank of Ghana remains committed to supporting the operations of large corporates, recognizing their critical role in sustaining petroleum supply, mineral export, and other essential sectors of Ghana's economy. To this end, the bank, in partnership with the government, has put in place mechanisms to supply and provide foreign exchange liquidity to meet legitimate import obligations of large corporates. These measures are designed to safeguard market stability while ensuring that vital supply chains remain uninterrupted. We expect all banks to comply strictly with this directive and to cooperate fully with the Bank of Ghana in ensuring that available foreign exchange resources are applied efficiently and transparently. Non-compliance will attract appropriate regulatory sanctions. Relevant industry associations are kindly requested to bring this notice to the attention of their members and ensure their adherence. This is signed by Emi V. Kwashi for the Secretary to the Board. So that's the statement from the Bank of Ghana. Prof, I'll start this with you. What's your understanding of what the BOG wants to do with this?
Good.
I'm yet to understand it.
You need a professor to explain.
Forgive me, and Ghanaians should forgive me. I'm yet to fully understand all of this. From March thereabouts, yes, when we saw this aggressive strengthening of the currency, we felt that we needed to stabilize much early and conserve FX for stability. Because the economy's own FX absorption was low at that time. And therefore, with time, demand will pick up.
Yes.
When demand picks up, in response to government's own economic reform, we are talking about business inputs that are largely imported, denominated in foreign currency. There will be pressure. and we only have a limited amount of FX and all of that. So to a large extent, yes, we are not saying Bank of Ghana should not intervene in the market. Is that okay? Yeah. If the volatility is just too wide and all, but the excessive intervention may create an exchange rate that will not crowd in FX, but it would rather crowd out the FX from the former system.
Yeah, crowd out.
This was it. So I believe that we are at the point where we have an exchange rate that perhaps the market does not think that is a true reflection of what it should, and therefore the crowding in is not happening the way it should. How people will respond to some of these things, you may not have control. We had feared that this may impact remittances. And then you can see the data that remittances have dropped by almost 50%. It's not just that the FX that has gone down. What it means is that projects probably are going to be put on hold and all of that. And remittances support the critical sector of this economy. I mean, the real sector, whether some are into farming, all kinds of things and all of that. So really, Bank of Ghana, I think they should take another look at this. At this directive. This directive. If my memory serves me right, 2013, 2014, we had a similar challenge. There was even a decision where...
A cap on how much you can get from
and even your foreign FX will be converted and all of that. Look, we've gone through a lot of this and all of that. And I think that ultimately it didn't serve us well. This country, we are too fixated on exchange rates. Too much. Our economy is too much dependent on exchange rate rather than the fundamentals of the economy, rather than the real sector of the economy. And I think that is problematic. Look, exchange rate is not to be pursued as an end in itself. It's a means to an end.
A means to an end.
Okay, so it's all about what economy do we want and how do we position the exchange rate to a large extent. And that is why no country is really practicing free market system in this area. Okay, so central banks intervene and all of that, okay, and manage it to some extent. So I think the problem has to do with what we are going through has more to do with the aggressive strengthening of the currency. I hope you understand that. And the fact that it's not driven, and we have said this before, that the fundamentals of the economy hasn't transformed. We haven't seen structural transformation or productivity transformation. In as much as I commend Bank of Ghana and also Ministry of Finance in terms of how they have coordinated this from the fiscal discipline and the prudent, I mean, I commend them for that. But I think that yes, at some point, you want to ask yourself whether this is serving the economy the way we want it and all of that. And what should we do in terms of the exchange rate to crowd in FX? If we are not careful.
But Prof, when you listen to the BOG governor, when he met CEOs of banks in Accra, so he makes the point that we will no longer allow hidden practices in the remittance and FX space that distort market signals, erode trust, and undermine the cedi. The stability we fought to restore will not be sacrificed on the altar of non-compliance. So you get the feeling that this statement is bigger, is part of a bigger plan to deal with the volatilities in the sector.
Precisely. I don't have a problem. I remember that the more Bank of Ghana wants to have greater control in all of this, the signal it sends to the market
is that it artificial?
May not look. Remember, you are not managing the economy for yourself alone. There are multiple stakeholders and all of that, and they are all looking at the interpretation and how they will react and all of that. Right now, if you look at the divergence between the interbank rate at the retail level, the Forex Bureau, and then maybe the black markets, you can see some divergence. If people have the impression that the true exchange rate is not the one, it's going to be difficult for them to trade their FX and all of that. So I think we should look at the exchange rate at some point.
But what is wrong with the directive to the banks? What is wrong with it? That they should not pay out huge FX to corporates who have not gotten prior deposits.
Yeah, so
where
would they go and get the deposit from? Are they doing legitimate business? Do they have documentation to back the demand for the FX and all of that? Remember, Bank of Ghana and the role of reserves is to also backstop transactions.
Yes.
Is that okay? So, so that the obligation is not totally on, let's say, the importer or the business to say that I must have the FX at all costs before I can do this import and all of that. And that is why we use our reserves in measuring how competitive we are, creditworthy in terms of trade. So we have a number of months of import cover. We use that because all of that gives confidence to people we trade with outside in shipping goods to us even before the payment is made. And when for instance, this phone is not manufactured in Ghana. If I buy this phone from a shop in Ghana and I pay for it in cedis, actually payment has not taken place. Because the manufacturer of this phone doesn't take cedis. Until the dollar equivalent of that cedis I paid is transferred out of this country. That's when payment has taken place. And here Bank of Ghana plays a strong role in all of that. So I think the more we do this, my fear is that things that must be solved by the forces of demand and supply, don't use regulation forcefully.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, if you use regulations forcefully to solve that which must be resolved by the forces of demand and supply and all of that, which again would impact the exchange rate, then in the medium to the long term, you are creating a bigger problem for the economy and all of that.
And I was looking at again the conversation between the BOG governor and the bank CEOs. He makes the point that to enhance oversight, banks and remittance partners must provide weekly inward remittance reports, including transaction level data and FX credit, giving the central bank timely visibility and into remittance flow. So if we all agree that remittance is such a key thing for us as a country, and we've had issue with remittance flow because of the city's performance, then the Bank of Ghana should be concerned and should be seen taking some of these initiatives they are taking.
To what effect? To what effect? And please, let's keep harping this point. A strong city is better than a weak city.
Sure.
We have just been used to the city sliding, so everybody has adjusted to that. So immediately, it kind of tries to shift in the opposite direction, strengthening. People have to readjust, and they are complaining or speaking as if a strong city is not good. A strong city is very good. I commend the bank and the government for strengthening the city. What they have to do is stabilize it further.
Yeah.
Okay, remittances will find their level. Now, what the governor is saying is as if to say Bank of Ghana can legislate, they can regulate, they can, by their powers, okay, control the Forex market, generally speaking, and for that matter, its effect on the city dollar thing.
Relations.
Let me make this point. Again, because we don't have too much time, we can't explain everything, but here's the point. The laws of economics are laws of nature. Okay? Economics is stronger than law and is stronger than regulation. Demand and supply cannot be legislated. What the governor is saying, and I'm happy you started with the professor, because I was saying to him that after so much analysis, I don't understand what he's trying to say. And if we had time to explain it, you would get what you say about using the mobile phone.
Yeah.
My inputs are in dollars. When I finish, for the sake of investment in this country, for the sake of the fact that people have to bring in their money, etc., we guarantee that they can expatriate, their profits and whatever it is. He collects money in cedis. And it is not against the law for him to try and pay back, where banks have nostro accounts and whatever. The system is set up to do that. Yeah. Now, Bank of Ghana's role is actually to facilitate that, except there is some unlawful business going on, whatever it is. Now you are saying that after I've traded and done whatever I've done with my dollar inputs and everything, collected my money and everything is fine, I cannot, take the money out, or I cannot pay myself in dollars, or I cannot convert the money to dollars.
Is that your understanding of the directive?
I said I don't understand what the bank...
Okay, that's fine.
And I'm saying that if the net effect of it is that, okay, I've collected cedis, I have 100 million cedis, and you are saying that, one, the local bank should not pay me Forex against that. I don't understand how that works. Bottom line, much as I appreciate what is happening, strengthening the city, etc., they must be careful not to make it too artificial.
Okay.
We have already gotten warning from other places that, hey, please, loosen your hand on this kind of artificial cedi strengthening. And I think we must be careful about that. I have made the point.
Let me just add quickly before that if in a year, within 5-6 months, your currency has strengthened by about 40% or so, you cannot call that stability.
That's artificial.
Stability?
That's more
It's
of a
not
disruption.
Okay.
It is movement in a different direction. Stability is, look, sorry, finish.
Yeah, so we felt it was too aggressive. The pace had been front-loaded. This could have been done maybe over a certain period of time. Then the market would adjust and all of that. So I think that is where. So yes, as I indicated, I commend Bank of Ghana and the Ministry of Finance, especially with the fiscal discipline, expenditure cut, and all of that. But what we have seen here is too aggressive. And look, there are other implications that I didn't talk about. We are encouraging influx of imports and smuggling. Overall, the competitiveness of our domestic private sector may be compromised if we are not careful the way we are going. So, as I indicated, it's about...
But Prof, I think also critically, maybe we have to understand what exactly this directive is about, because I get the sense that we all don't seem to... I just got a message. This one says, Obi, my understanding of the BOG's directive is that people should not withdraw. Not saying don't transfer.
Yes.
Withdraw if you have Forex deposit. So we must be clear. And he says, maybe we all don't understand the directive, so we should probably understand it first.
So
I think that's
I was on the floor.
Yes.
So I said, clarify it.
Okay.
Because clearly, if the professor said he didn't understand, who am I? That is one. So it is the responsibility of the Bank of Ghana to clarify. That is one. Number two, withdrawing dollars in Ghana is unlawful. Sorry, it's not unlawful.
Yeah.
It's improper.
Improper.
Okay. In other places, it is unlawful.
Sure.
So if the BOG says that you shouldn't withdraw dollars across the counter in Ghana, I am totally in agreement with it.
Okay.
What I am saying is, and Prof just said that, you have a situation where we like stability, but it was too quick, too aggressive, and not us. Even other international bodies have said, please, it looks like you are doing something artificial. What we are saying is that those things don't last. And at the end of the day, when you make it too aggressive like that, you end up paying a certain price. Now, the point is this. The economy prefers a stable currency, not a currency that is either appreciating or depreciating too fast.
Okay.
So don't put all this energy in a short-term, quick appreciation that you cannot sustain. That is not good.
So to sustain it, what should they do?
They should effect their monetary and other policies in an even-handed way. And I defer to the Prof again. He said, too aggressive. Okay. Me, I'm a poor, simple lawyer. What I can see is that when your hand is on the currency artificially, it will cost you. It is not sustainable. At the end of the day, everybody will lose because the laws of economics, people will simply react. And when they react, I said, those who are old enough, remember the days of import license. This is technically the same. Okay? And if you do that, people will sit down, fold their hands and watch you, and the economy is just going to go down.
Let's probably get an explanation from the finance ministry just to understand what this whole directive is about before I bring in Richard. So, Frederick, what is this thing?
We'll see what he will say against the directive.
Thank you. Both Prof and
Kofi
and Mr. Bentel say that the directive is not clear, but trust me, this directive is as clear as crystal.
Please, let me just, when I say I'm looking at the imports.
The imports.
Ultimately,
on
where all of this. Yes. So that's what I meant.
Okay.
If you read the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, it is clear that nobody is allowed to trade in or to trade with any other currency. You can't price, you can't receipt, you can't do anything in any other currency apart from the Ghana cedi. So in the first place, withdrawal of USD cash itself is against this act. Now, to explain or to further throw light on Prof was saying that, imports will pick up and then people will need dollar and all those things. There are generally two kinds of Forex, the offshore and the onshore. The onshore is the one we are all known to. You have your fiscal dollar, maybe you go and deposit in the bank, or you have a check dollar, you go and deposit in the bank. That is not what we use for international trade. So, to be very clear, you don't need physical dollars. You don't need any form of dollar to engage in international trade. So the penchant, the onshore dollar, the penchant for us to sort of get hold of dollars, get hold of other foreign currencies for international trade is actually born out of our experiences with the cedi. Over the 60 years of the cedi, it hasn't been stable, let's all admit. So people have developed affinity for keeping or storing their money or keeping the value of their money in foreign currency. It has nothing to do with international trade because you don't need fiscal dollars or any form of dollar
to be able to trade.
To be able to trade. All you need is the offshore dollar. And let me come there. You see, the offshore dollar we generate by means of, let's say, exports and official GOG activities. When we export cocoa, we get dollar, which is not fiscal. You credit you mentioned the nostro, and you credit our accounts. When a bank sponsors a client who does exports, the bank receives the exports. Those are all offshore dollars. Those are the dollars we use for international trade.
Yes.
So, going in to a bank to go and withdraw huge sums of dollars is unnecessary. You don't need any currency to engage in international trade than the Ghana cedi. What you do need is that you build up your Ghana cedi. You send your invoice to the bank that I want to import this from, let's say, China.
Okay.
Your bank will then debit your account with the cedi equivalent of whatever Forex amount you are debiting.
Sure.
So, to be very clear, international trade has nothing to do with these cash withdrawals and anything. It is a way, and I must admit that we have not done well with ourselves when it comes to cedi. I mean, what identifies a country is its name, its flag, and its currency. See, the cedi is
culture.
Okay. Yes. There are many other things. The cedi is who we are. The cedi represents what we are. The cedi represents our history. The cedi represents where we are even going. So the cedi as a currency itself is more than what is called a medium of exchange. It embodies.
Look, but others have abandoned their currency altogether. Money plays four main functions: as a medium of exchange, a store of value, a unit of account, a standard for deferred payment. So the question is whether the cedi has performed all these four functions
for us.
Maybe for medium exchange to some extent, a store of value.
No.
So let's look at it. Okay, you finish.
So you actually agreeing with me that over the period, we as a people, and right from the 60s to now when the cedi was introduced, we as the people have not done well or done good by ourselves in the management.
Government have not the people.
Okay. With the management of the cedi.
Yes.
So you see, it looks a bit off that a currency which has always known depreciation is now appreciating. It's like a cold turkey. We are not used to the appreciation of our currency. So when we see that our currency is appreciating, it's like something, an anathema. What is happening?
It's the pace.
So you see, the strengthening of the cedi is not artificial.
The current one?
The current one, it's not artificial. It has to do with real sector interventions that was made by the government.
Interventions are artificial.
No, interventions are policies which are driven, which are done to drive a result.
Okay.
So I mentioned, I mean, we've spoken. I won't belate the gold board intervention. Yeah. I won't belate the fiscal consolidation. But these are real sector interventions, and I must tell you, for the first time in our history, through the operations of the activities of the gold board, we have received or we generated more money from artisanal small-scale mining than from big-scale, large-scale mines. What it means is that
Galamsey is driving the.
What it means is that market forces see the forest generating capacity of this economy, and then those demand and supply play in, and which determines the value of the city. So the BOG the BOG is very clear. What the BOG directive is saying is that he didn't say that don't engage, don't transfer, or don't. He says that you have no business going to withdraw cash from your dollar.
But it gives a leeway that unless such transactions are fully supported by equivalent foreign currency cash deposits lodged by the same institution.
Yes,
what does that mean?
Mr. Benso recently came from the US. When he was coming, he had $100 change. Okay. When he went to the bank, he went to deposit his $100. When he's going for his $100, the bank cannot say that I won't give you my $100.
Okay, that's what it means.
That's what it means. That if you went, if you went,
this large body corporate, if they have they can withdraw, not just individual.
No. He's talking about generally. Okay, he's talking about he used them as an example. He says generally, if you went, you had your dollar, somebody came, visited your uncle, or somebody came from the UK and gave you £1, and then you went to deposit it in the bank, you are free to go and take your dollar or your pound. Okay, but not when
you don't have anything.
You don't have anything there, or you sort of even didn't deposit it in cash, and then you go that you want $1 million, $2 million.
But why were people withdrawing such huge amounts in Forex? Why were people doing that?
Yeah. I don't want us to. There's a lot going on. I don't want to go into that. That is why we are saying that ab initio, it was illegal.
Okay.
It is illegal. It is not backed by any economics.
Were they not doing that for a purpose? Was there no reason for those huge withdrawals? For which reason the Bank of Ghana has had to step in?
Yes. The Honorable also does something for a purpose, right? So we if we want to go about purposes and those things, the fact of the matter is that is wrong. You can't do it. Stop it.
No, I asked that just for people to appreciate why maybe the BOG directive is necessary. That's why I asked that question.
So whatever purpose for which, I'm just saying that whatever purpose for which you are doing something, doesn't matter if the thing is illegal or not you are not supposed to do it ab initio. So whatever purpose you want to, you have to doing something, it doesn't mean that the thing is what you have to do.
Very well. Yes. Thank you, Frederick. Richard, I don't know where you stand on this after the explanation you've heard from Frederick.
I think Prof. Bokpin's question or statement about managing the currency is not an end in itself. It means to an end.
Yes.
And so on that score, I think he's answered the question. I wanted to ask him a question, but he's answered the question by indicating that what is being done is too aggressive. I was going to ask you that, so in lieu of that understanding, do you think what is being done is sustainable? But you have answered that question on one hand. To say that it's too aggressive, which means that it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
No. You understand?
No.
It's not sustainable.
No.
You can disagree. You can disagree.
No, that's his deduction.
The prof is here.
What are you saying?
You cannot speak for him.
Are you spokesperson?
No, he's here.
Are you spokesperson? We are arguing.
No, but Richard, agree that that's your inference from what he said.
From what he said.
Okay,
but he didn't say that.
Okay, so we can do it. Right?
Sure.
So excessive intervention crashing in the market, which you agree is not sustainable.
Yes.
In my view, my inference, do you think what the Bank of Ghana is doing is sustainable? Because your spokesperson wants you to answer.
Oh no, I don't have.
But you get the point.
I've made this point several times.
Okay, good.
I've
So
said that-
I proceed, right? No, he agreed.
No, but let him laugh.
So I've maintained that is the way the government approach to managing the economy. We agree with them from the fiscal side and then the complementary for monetary side. We've seen the strengthening of the currency, and I maintain that the pace has been too aggressive.
Okay.
And it will have implications for the economy, clearly. And some of the reactions we are seeing in the market, for which reason Bank of Ghana is coming with this directive and all of that, is just that the market is responding to all of these things, and the central bank is looking at how do we manage all of this, okay? So when I say that this directive and all of that, nobody is saying that it's not good and all of that, but ultimately, would this solve the fundamental issue? I hope you understand that, for which people are reacting. This way, you've seen remittances and the rest of them. We've seen import, we've seen government revenue from the ports also coming down and all of that. So those are the concerns.
Right.
And when it comes to the city, we are all concerned about the stability, the sustainability, and all of that. And let me add this, maybe I may get a chance. The IMF program is ending technically December 2025.
Okay.
And all of that. So if you are looking at the outlook and all of that, people are concerned. Not only that, people who want to withdraw dollars from the counter, so to speak, but even for businesses that need to make payment, transfer out of this country for import and all of that in anticipation of Christmas and all of that. There are real concerns that I believe that we have to look at, and I'm sure my good friend here agrees and all of that. So those are the things that...
No, but Prof, as part, I'll come to Richard. As part of the sustainability argument, wouldn't it rather be a good call? Because the last time I went to South Africa, I couldn't buy in dollars. But I went to the mall and I had to go back to my hotel, pick my passport before I could exchange my dollars into rand before buying anything. Shouldn't we be getting there in Ghana?
Who has stopped us?
So these are the steps.
No.
These are regulations.
No, these are the steps.
Look,
These are the steps.
I agree with you.
It's a regulation.
We cannot do everything as a group.
So there's a role regulation can play.
Okay.
Regulation cannot substitute for real things that we have to do on the ground. Yeah. Look, if we talk, the economy's supply capacity is severely constrained. What are we producing in this country? What are we producing? When we talk about entrepreneurs in Ghana today, is to identify something outside and then what? Import it. And the rest of them. So that's why we are saying that to some extent, we've seen the role of fiscal discipline, expenditure cut, and I have commended government for that. I've commended the Bank of Ghana also from that. But where you see where the cedi is right now, I hope you understand that the aggressive trend from the beginning of the year to where it is it optimal?
Optimal.
In terms of promoting the economy that we want. Again, if you are looking at export, you are looking at maybe import dynamics and all of that, and whether real cash flow allocations have actually gone to the real sector of the economy. Here you are talking about agriculture, you are talking about maybe industry, you are talking about the rest of them. And I think that until there's substantial cash flow allocation, budgetary allocation, and we are beginning to see the transformation coming from the real sector and the rest of them, then we are going to have problems and all of that. And I'm sure that's also playing the role.
So Richard, please.
So the short answer, from Prof is that it's not sustainable. Really, that's the point.
Essentially.
Yes, essentially. You see, and also the point was made, I don't know if by Mr. Kofi Bentel or Prof again, about if people form the idea that the price of the cedi out there is not real, it will undermine confidence in the market. That the demand and supply elements are not regulating the price on the market. That's one reason it is not sustainable. Because in that way, people would go out and still go and get the dollars outside of the banking system. That's how you lose control of it, and that's how the rate spikes. Obi, I am just surprised how this government wants us to believe that by this excessive intervention in the market, they will sustain the cedi. We all know the way to sustain any currency is through maintaining your trade balances. So where that you are not having deficits, or you are moving from deficit to surpluses. And that way you are strengthening your currency. So then you are looking at market principle that your demand and supply is meeting at a certain point. So people who want dollars can find it, people who want cedi can find it. And in that case, Obi, you are creating employment, which then makes the whole system sustainable. But what we have now is not sustainable. And one way I will demonstrate for my brother is this. You see, this whole thing that he was talking about offshore dollar, okay? That people can't find it. I know people who early on were trying to transfer and pay for their school fees. They were not getting the dollars. They go to the bank, they say this, they say that, they prolong the process and drag it. They were not able to pay for it.
The Guta raised that.
Exactly, Obi. So the point is that what is being done is artificial. And the artificial nature of it is such that you can see it. And that's why the market is reacting. And the Bank of Ghana is dumping more regulation on them. I agree with regulation that seals the loopholes in terms of feeding the black market trade. If you take away the black market trade, then you can then have a handle on how you manage your currency. So that part we agree, and every government has tried to do that. But the bit where they are doing and actually entering the market in the way that they are doing, I beg you, it is going to just disrupt the market and undermine confidence in our economy. You probably make the point that you are not managing the economy for yourself alone. There are stakeholders engaged in this economy with us. So foreign direct investment and people who want to come and invest in our economy. Obi, what do you think they are thinking right now to say that they are going to be regulated in the way that there are monies that are there in our currency that they want in another currency, perhaps their own domestic currency? You can't get it.
You cannot withdraw it. You can transfer.
Obi, I made a point to you that people are trying to transfer 5,000 to pay school fees. They can't find it. So what they are saying effectively is that you can't take your money if it becomes cedi. You must use our cedi. And so if I want to invest in Ghana, is that an attractive destination? And mind you, in 2019, Ghana surpassed Nigeria in foreign direct investment. So what you're trying to tell us technically is that you are closing that window, which is the reason why the IMF and the World Bank are beginning to enter into this conversation. Because what you're doing is artificial. You are deceiving us. You know, when we're little, we used to have this cardboard and we'll cut toys and then we'll put lights there. And we invite the kids in the neighborhood and we begin to point it and say this person is beating and all that. That's what they are doing. In the 21st century, with all the AI capacity we have, what you are doing is this baby photo thing that you are doing to us. And it's not right, Obi. It is not going to help anybody. And that's why you have seen that the excitement with which this government came to office, the goodwill they had, they have not been able to show anything. All it is they are doing is to send my good brother to argue in fine English what it is they are trying to do. What they have done is what we are asking. And everything they have done has been cosmetic and artificial at best. This currency matter should be a matter of the economy generating that strength. The strength of the cedi now, it is not actual. It is fake. So that you cannot see
what we are seeing now
is fake because there is no production that is backing it. Where do you get this from? Where did it come from? Let's look at our export numbers. What does it look like? Maybe you can tell us. Is it commensurate? Does it reflect? You have the
I'll give you time.
But I'm just saying that your trade position, okay, your ability to allow the market to set its own price. I think that's what it is that we're expecting. The manipulation that they are doing right now, Obi, does not give any confidence to anybody.
But they've told you in the first 5-6 months, gold alone has brought in over $5 billion US.
Obi, so it's as if they discovered gold when they came to office. Suddenly they discovered gold, that gold was not in this country before. So what happens if the price of gold drops? And in fact, this whole thing they are talking about, my good friend Sami Jeffy is doing some good work over there. But the point I want to ask is that this whole Galamsey thing that is going, they are buying from small-scale miners. The increased exports they are having, and who are the ones selling the gold to them? Do we accidentally have illegal miners, Galamseyers also filtering through?
They say small-scale.
But I'm just saying that there's Galamseyers going on. And then the Gold Board has done an initiative where they themselves are policing smugglers. Okay? So people are not smuggling. You understand?
Yes.
People are not smuggling.
Yes.
But the people are Galamseying. So those Galamseyers, who are they selling their gold to? If we are to assume that Sami and his effort at Gold Board is ensuring that smuggling of gold is curtailed, then the Galamsey that we are seeing, to the extent that their national organizer is issuing order to the president to say that he should decommission all the task force. Yeah. Now, if that is the case, we agree from that there is Galamsey going on. So those Galamsey, who are they selling their gold to? That's a question we need to explore. And so when they are telling us about gold has gone up and all of that, is gold, how many jobs are they creating there in that sector? And how is that affecting the larger economy in terms of driving demand and supply in the economy? So what they have done is indeed formatting, which in another way they are calling resetting. They are resetting all of us to think what reality we know is not the reality we are having.
Essentially, they are
gaslighting all of us. And I think that my brother can do himself a favor because he's a young man, and all of these things are beginning to unfold. And we are going to see the full length of the NDC government and their resetting.
Very well. This one says, and Frederick, I'll come to you. I work for Treasury at my bank. The truth is just one. IMF has cracked the whip. BOG cannot keep on burning the reserves in pursuit of a stable exchange rate. So simply put, no more huge FX intervention from them till at least the IMF program is over. The BOG, before crafting this directive, came around interviewing bank treasurers, seeking to know our key dollar withdrawals. Some of the treasurers told them off. Heavy-handed directives at the moment will inure to the benefit of the black market, and that would erode all the gains. So, yes, Frederick, finally, a minute or two, and then we'll go for our next.
We are told that we are burning through our reserves. We are availing. But you see, the figures don't bear that claim out. Within 6 months, this government has added over $2 billion to our reserves. Currently, our reserves stand, as at the end of June 2025, 11.12 billion. Equivalent to 4.
From the 8 billion you inherited. Sure.
Equivalent to 4.8 months of import cover. So the figures do not suggest that we are killing ourselves to, to keep the CD where it is. Now, we are also saying that it is what? It is artificial, it is not born out of economics. Our trade surplus has increased to 5.57 billion. And you see, to compare that, last year, as at the end of June 2025, June 2024, it was 1.37. So the forex generating capacity of the economy has improved massively. The trade balance alone has increased by over 300%. So the Cedi stability we are seeing is actually born out of real sector development, as the figures are telling us. There's current account surplus, which takes into account all these inflows and outflows, including everything. Of course, we won't go into the academics. It's now 3.44 billion as at the end of June 2025. In the same year, it was less than 1 billion, 937. It has more than tripled. So what we are saying is that the forex generating capacity of the economy and the supply of dollar in the economy has improved, and it is as a result of real sector interventions. This Cedi stability we are seeing, it is, yes, this is gold. The gold is a real sector. It's a real sector activity.
You want us to go there?
Please. This Cedi stability we are seeing, it is not artificial. It is born out of interventions which have resulted in this economy generating more forex. That is why we are seeing the stability. We are not burning through our reserves. It is not artificial. It is as a result of how we have managed the finances of this country.
Will real sector not be manufacturing?
Yes. No, real sector, when we say real sector is the micro. No, it's production, micro level. Mining isn't no production.
Hold on, look. So
manufacturing isn't no production.
I agree with you. And I'm happy.
Yes. So the real sector of an economy does not only mean manufacturing.
There's a nuance
real
there.
sector means
There's a nuance.
We decompose that into three:
Thank you.
agriculture, industry, service.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
the real sector.
That's a
And all those three we are seeing improvement.
We are seeing it. Fishing. The magic we are doing in the fishing industry. You should see the numbers.
My brother, look.
So you see,
We have data to back to some
to back
extent.
the fishing point.
No, the fishing and the rest in general.
Yes.
Obi,
But
I am happy.
A minute each. Yeah.
I am happy with the progress. And by the way, if all that the Bank of Ghana is saying is that don't withdraw dollars across the counter in Ghana, I totally agree with you.
No disagreement.
I am also happy that you say we are generating, okay, that dollar, volume in Ghana. The problem is where you spin it and say real sector and leave it there. There are nuances to the real sector, I beg you. We know for a fact, I put up that thing earlier in the year, that gold is what is driving the economy. Yes, gold is a form of production. But if you go down even into gold, galamsey is what is driving that.
Wait, the galamsey
I beg
conversation.
you, let me make my point.
Okay.
We like the output, but there's a cost to everything. And what we are saying is, even if you take the currency, look, what an economy needs is not a low currency, it's a stable currency. So it's not about whether it's high or low, it's about stability.
Stability at what level?
Hold on, I'm coming there. There was a Kenyan example. Prof, if you had time, we'll explain it. They held it at a point and they've kept it stable. When you draw it down too much, then you have to support it. Yeah. What we are simply saying is that management requires that you create stability instead of erratic shifts.
What have you seen in the past weeks?
But the president has the agreement between him and managers of the economy is to keep it within 10 and 12.
We are making a point. The point is where you have to keep something.
Okay.
The economy has a way of sustaining itself using the forces of...
You don't have to keep it.
You don't have to be aggressive about that. And it's important to us because much as I like what you are talking about, I worry about when it crashes and then we have to revert. So please, you manage it. We like this thing. But this problem of running an economy on galamsey, and two, having to sustain a currency at a point where you are being too aggressive, manage it a bit better.
That's fine.
For longevity.
You made a point that the three sectors, we've seen some growth.
Yes, if you
industry,
look at first
services.
quarter growth, even though industry went down, driven by oil and gas and all of that, we've seen a great picked up and all of that. But then, if we are talking about transformation, this is not transformation. And this is not the kind of improvement that would actually anchor the stability of the currency
in the long term.
Yeah. Those are the things. And then bear in mind, this is the issue. So when you see when we talk about aggressive strengthening, that's different from stability. So we are looking at the rate at which the cedi has appreciated within this short time. That probably is causing dislocations in the economy. Okay. And so when you see that sharp appreciation to where it is now, and the market feels that this is not where it's supposed to be, then it will not crowd in FX. Probably if you talk to some of Ghanaians who live abroad, they will think that it's so difficult to earn dollar. Okay. But when they bring it here and your price is so low, they will hold back.
Very well.
And all of that. So we are looking at this without crowding FX. We've seen the surplus and all of that. But if we are to meet all our demands, based on requests and all of that, these reserves, there will be pressure on it. And that's why I'm saying that I see where Bank of Ghana is coming strongly from regulation. That yes, we've got the reserves and all of that, but if we have to entertain all these withdrawals and all these demands, these reserves cannot last us for long. Those are the things that we need to look at.
We'll go for another break, but before that, two messages quickly. A senior lawyer watching us comes with this, and he says, Obi, it looks like the Bank of Ghana's latest directive about corporate only getting foreign currencies, if matched by their deposit, is targeted at BDCs. If not, then we know for sure that it will hurt companies that sell to the local market in cities, but either get their product abroad or repatriate their proceeds, i.e. dividend, etc. overseas. Example, BDCs, telcos, pharmacies, spare parts dealers, etc. Of course, exporters should not be hurt by this, but importers for the local market. What impact would it have on BDCs and telcos like MTN? Unfortunately, evidence this week shows that the banks are misinterpreting it so much so that NGOs, embassies are all being affected. It requires greater clarity and very fast. And he says, I just had some clients complaining to me yesterday. Okay, that's really interesting. My former colleague here at the Multimedia Group, Dr. Opoku Gapo, listening to us, says, Obi, very exciting conversations there. I'm happy to see the concerns of cocoa farmers being discussed on the biggest radio TV talk show in Ghana. The reality is that even if cocoa farmers were paid 100% of the FOB price, it still wouldn't be enough to make them wealthy or move the majority into the middle class in the 21st century. The core issue is this, that selling raw cocoa is simply not profitable enough. Research shows that cocoa farmers receive just 5 to 8% of the value of a chocolate bar, while manufacturers, processors, and retailers take 95 to 92%. One study even found that on the average, cocoa farmers in Ghana earn less than 5% of what a bar of chocolate sells for in the UK. We need to promote value addition and local processing so farmers can earn a greater share of the final product's value. That way, government can tax the cocoa processing companies and reinvest in cocoa communities. Let's also encourage farmer cooperatives to own and run cocoa processing businesses. That's how we move beyond just selling raw produce and ensure better incomes and long-term sustainability for our farmers. We cannot create riches from simply selling and exporting raw cocoa beans. Yeah, the same like gold. That's Dr. Opoku Gapo. After this short break, we'll come back and deal with the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission and fake doctorate and professorship after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Newsfile live on Joy News on Multi TV and live on Joy 99.7 FM in Kumasi. We are live on Love 99.5 FM. My name is Osei Bonsu, and in studio, Prof. Bokpen is here, Kofi Bentel, Richard Ahiagba, and Frederick, who advises the Finance Minister. Newsfile is proudly brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner. MTN, everywhere you go. Ashesi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 33 plus years. My Way, dial *165# on MTN to join My Way today. Syntex Tank, it's strong, it's tough. Activa International Insurance, our clients, our passion. International Facilities Management Association, and Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature. So I would mention some few names and tell you what they have in common. Hassan Ayarega, former presidential aspirant. Tanku Computer, acting CEO, GTEC. Joseph Obeng, Guta president. Edward Ajeman, former Audit Service Board member. Dr. Grace Ayensu, Deputy Health Minister. Richard Asiedu, the NDC Central Regional Chairperson. There are some more names. Williams Abayawin Atulik of the Heritage Christian University. And I already mentioned Edward Dua Ajeman. There is also Phyllis Nakoyo Okuno, MP Ewutu Senya East. Desmond de Graft Peitu, MP Gomoa East. Kwame Adom Frempong. And Kwame is with the Internal Audit Agency. And I've mentioned Sofu Rashid, Tanko Computer already. I've mentioned Joseph Obeng already. There is Emmanuel Opokuwari, who is a former director of the Internal Audit Agency. There is Isaac Abam. Isaac Abam is also with the University of Environment and Sustainable Development somewhere in the Bno region. All these people have one thing in common. They've received letters from GTEC that they should provide evidence backing the usage of either doctor or professor. How did we get here as a country? Kofi, I'll start with you. I saw your post about Dr. Nkrumah.
Not Dr. Nkrumah. There was a discussion.
Mandela,
it was about Mandela, yeah.
And you made the point that Mandela received over 200 honorary...
over 250 honorary doctorates and over 400 different honorific titles.
Wow.
Across
but he
the
never
world.
used any of
He
them.
never called himself Dr. Mandela.
Why are we here?
Why we are here is because it's a cultural issue. In a culture where people are respected and rewarded more for their titles, positions, and names than their actual performance, production, and contribution, people will work towards titles, positions, and names rather than performance, contribution, and actual, work. Yeah. So it's a cultural issue. Okay, the Kwame Nkrumah aspect, unfortunately, is true. He didn't finish his PhD. He got something and then he called himself Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. But there's a point there. I do believe there's a place for honorific titles.
Yeah.
In my view, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was fit to hold that in honor.
Honoris causa.
Yes, was fit. And there are a number, we don't have time, I would have told you a number of stories about people who had honorific titles. In fact, there was one of them who he got it and said, oh, now he has to work for it. So it creates a certain, dynamic. Yeah. But then you have a situation where we've built this culture at the highest level. And I know people in academia who basically have gone through degree mills just to acquire these, titles. And they actually got promoted through it. And
really?
Yeah. Somebody got some funny doctorate, and then through that they've gotten a professorship and they are moving on. So, bottom line, when you see somebody called Dr. Who and ask him, so what have you done?
What do you have to show?
What contribution have you made? Today there's a whole movement, especially in the US, that is working against people acquiring higher degrees. Because they are saying the people who are changing the world, many of them are actually school dropouts. Part of it is because of these things. You have people with big names and titles, and they don't have anything to show for it. So what we've created is a culture which rewards these names, and people don't ask actual performance. So that's why we are where we are. And for that reason, you see, people think, oh, why should GTEC be doing these things? Unfortunately, for you, it's a personal thing, but it poisons the whole society. In fact, I've come to a point where when I hear doctor, immediately I see something. The reverend ministers and all those people. So it's just spoiled that thing. Look, with respect to my fellow Nigerians, they've experienced that situation where people have all these titles, so nothing means anything. There was a time when I was growing up. When you hear somebody's a doctor of anything, you look at the person twice.
It was a big deal.
It was a big deal because you know they earned it. Today, no. No. And in fact, a lot of my friends who have doctorates, they rather write ABC and they write PhD. Okay, so you have a situation where the culture is actually making nonsense of actually seeking those things. And my last point, people are they are bypassing the University of Ghana and the proper process. There are about 10 institutions in Ghana properly licensed who are just selling degrees. And they are going there and buying them. You go, you pay the fees, astronomical fees, you sit at home, get somebody to write your thing for you. After 2 years, you go for the graduation, they put a gun on you, And
that writing 50-page PhD thesis. I'm like, really? 50 pages?
That culture is deleterious. What I mean is, it eats at us over time. So what GTEC is doing, whatever you say about it,
on what GTEC is doing, because you're a lawyer, Professor Kwekwasari makes the point that GTEC may be breaching the Constitution in that because they are exercising some sort of discretionary power. He says there should be a regulation in place to let us know how far they can go, because some, as you said, and just to quote his point, he says, when the law says the commission shall regulate, it is a grant of regulatory authority But under Article 296 of the Constitution, commissions and agencies cannot act arbitrarily or in an ad hoc manner. A commission with regulatory authority is at a minimum expected to A, publish regulations, directives or guidelines which will be gazetted, clearly define what uses are permitted and what count as misuse, and provide processes for registration, approval, or enforcement. He says as we speak, this has not been done.
You see,
so the power GTEC is exercised, and he makes the point that when you are given authority, let me get that, a grant of power is not equal to license to act without rules.
Professor Azari is making an argument. And that argument has merit. It does not mean it's a winning argument. I can make the same argument. In fact, there's a lot of argument about bail. All right? Yoko gives bail.
Yeah.
The police give bail. Okay? In my view, I'm very assured in my mind that it's not constitutional.
Okay.
Why? Because the whole essence of bail is to restrict or limit the power of the arresting authority. So if you are the one that can give bail, wrong. All right? And if you look at it, the same rule, Article 296. So if Yoko and the bosses there, who are not judges, are giving bail and exercising that,
then there should be regulations to guide that.
Do that.
Yeah.
And one of these days, we'll go to the Supreme Court and have that done now. So it's an argument. But is it stopping Yoko from keeping Shatawale? No. So those arguments are there. In every society, you balance these things, and when the time is right, you put these things in place. So I'm not saying he's wrong. And maybe GTEC should do that. But in the interest of probity and integrity, GTEC is right to do what it is doing now. Somebody has to do it. In this country, Professor Ade, my own worthy professor, who in every sense of the word is a proper person to call himself a professor, and I don't want to go through the history of whatever it is, he was sued. Because essentially, somebody said he's using the term professor when he hasn't merited it. What does it mean to merit it? The man is producing results, which some other professors are not producing.
Very well.
Okay, but he was sued. Fine, sue him. But it turned out that he was, vindicated. So my point is, you have a situation where we've come to a tipping point.
Okay.
And the tipping point, so I agree with people like Professor Asari that, maybe we should organize it better.
Okay.
But we can't say until that is done, we should leave these brigands to go around talking and calling themselves professor. Gentleman said, no, let me do. This gentleman sitting by me is a professor. Very young man. Do you know what he has gone through to become
a professor?
And he is, in every sense of the word, properly so-called. Now, if you didn't know him well, all right, and because of all that is going on, he comes and says, my name is Professor Bobkin. You look at him and say, how old are you and when did you come? Okay, but he's paid the price.
Yeah.
And I know a couple of young professors like that. And I'm like, what does it say to these people? And I'm telling you, our youth today are moving away from them because they don't see the point in paying the price, okay, to gain that thing fair and square because of all that is going on. So
very well. And the point about having regulations for the exercise of every discretionary power is what Dateba referred to as a meltdown. It may lead to a meltdown of governance. Because it's not just possible.
It may.
It may, of course.
Again, you see, you cited something which is big for lawyers. Dateba is revered.
Sure.
And he was right in that context.
Yes.
But the context is important. When you say may, given that context, yes, we understand it.
Sure.
But indeed, that provision is extremely important for the regulation of powers within
discretionary power. That's true.
Within any society.
That's true.
So, for that context, yes. But in the broader context, it takes away from the essence of 296. And 296, anybody who is not a judge, including the president, exercising a discretion, must give us clear
Remember
rules
that argument was made when the president suspended the Chief Justice. Prof. Bokwen, you're a professor. When you hear all of these arguments, I mean, how does that make you feel?
Well, on one hand, you could say, I could let go. Let go. Somebody told me something. He said, look, these politicians, they want the power, they want the money, they want the business, now they want our titles also. The only thing we can boast of. they want that one also. I think that, yes, I agree that there should be a lot of sensitization. Yes. A lot of people have used this honorary and so maybe without properly understanding the implications and all of that. And I'm sure GTEC we'll do a lot of sensitization, publication, and all of that. I remember some years back, I think it was Professor Yanka, who then was the Pro-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, who gave explanation about the use of these titles and all of that.
I have his speech. I think at the Academy of Art and Sciences, he delivered a speech on that.
Yes, and I took time to read it, and I learned a lot from that. But I'm not too sure how widespread in terms of how you can use this and all of that. But clearly, this sector is very huge, and without regulation, it may be something else. And I agree totally with. Elsewhere, people go through all of this. They don't even refer to themselves as doctor. People they are doctors, all right, but they just write their name and move on, because the whole thing is performance. The whole thing is productivity and all of that. Unfortunately for us, we are not driven by any of this. Okay, and it's because of the incentive mechanism we have put in place that people are responding to. Okay, so you are a doctor, it means that, that gives you a certain privilege or respect or something, or accomplishment. Meanwhile, you really haven't, there's no performance or productivity akin to that. But on the broader issue, we are at the point where, look, titles carry anointing. Titles carry anointing. The drive is to acquire titles by whatever means. Either at the lower end, it's easier to meet somebody who has like 2 or 3 or 4 masters. What have you achieved? And all of that is simply because the incentive mechanism we have put in place as a country does not put premium on productivity, real work. Everybody is just doing deals. Everybody is trying to, and so nobody wants to work hard. And that is why somebody will say that, look, how many people genuinely even write their long essays for either undergraduate or masters or even all of that.
PhD.
Yes, and all of that. Then, so I think that is good. I commend GTEC. Okay. Somebody said they woke up too late anyway. We've allowed this sector, and all of that. But I believe that it will also come with proper education. I felt a bit that the naming and shaming and all of these things, perhaps, is there another way we could manage it? Because for some of them probably just didn't know how that this was supposed to be used this way or that way. It's also possible that they've been prompted and yet they decided to disregard the consequences and all of that. But I think the message is quite clear.
Okay.
There are approved channels that you can get this legitimately and go through all of that. But I think as a country, we should move beyond that.
Very well.
We should be driven by productivity, by performance. That should be our consideration, rather than we seem to worship titles. And it's all over, and we parade all these things, and the question is, what have you done? You acquire all of this. What have you done? What is the transformation? What's the productivity? And the rest of them. I mean, even those who have acquired it genuinely and through the hard work, how are we using it to impact society? How are we using it? How is it reflecting in how we engage students? Teaching, and the rest, it's not like you just get this and then you do the minimum and all of that. So I think that I agree that regulation is very important. We need to sanitize the sector.
Thank you.
It should also come with proper education and guidelines for its usage. In fact, some people are even struggling how they should even write the doctor by their name and all of that. Okay, so
very well, Prof. Thank you. So my 2 politicians, maybe 2 minutes each, we are really against. I'll start with you, Richard.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yes, I am completely aghast by Mr. Kofi Bettel's rendition that, this thing, people are moving against this whole PhD thing and doctorate thing. Almost makes me want to drop out of school because, the premium on it is lost. But if done properly, the very demand of any PhD is to ascertain what contribution you are making to the literature space you are engaged in. So that contribution is inherent if done properly. And so I think GTEC
is a way of moving society forward.
And
so development is knowledge intensive.
Exactly. So maybe in our country, perhaps the connection from the knowledge production in academia and policy probably needs to be strengthened a bit more so that these contributions can translate into policy. But I think that GTEC is adding value.
Sure.
Ultimately, that will put premium on how people become
and restore the dignity
to it.
That's the only thing we have.
Exactly. but
we don't have the money.
Oh, you have the money. You know, the point I want to make, I think, is Professor Kokwaza.
Yes.
I want to ask this. Argument is making relative to GTEC adhering to a certain rule, that which rule doesn't exist, and therefore they are in breach of the Constitution. I want to ask, I don't know, I don't remember, I stand to be corrected. In the case of the President's exercise of Article 146, okay, 6 and 10, in suspending the Chief Justice.
That same argument
has he made
that same argument? Yes. The publication should have been.
Yes.
Should have been.
You
done.
understand? So I think we have to be consistent and then try that we are, moving our country forward in dealing with these matters uniformly. I still hold that this whole business with the Chief Justice should stop. In my view, it should stop because it is a botched idea.
Don't let us
it is a political enterprise, and it should stop. But otherwise, I commend GTEC.
Very well. One of our viewers in the US of A says, Obi, in the US, only medical doctors use the prefix doctor. PhD holders don't ordinarily use the prefix doctor. So you may not see Condoleezza Rice calling herself Dr. Rice, but Miss Rice. That's US. Ghana, hey.
Richard best can help himself.
Well, let's see if you can help yourself.
I think GTEC should be commended for this, and I agree with the submissions made. There should be some sanity around.
Yes.
I mean, now doctors in Ghana are fighting for their title. So now they say when you write doctor, the DR dot, you have to into brackets med.
Yeah.
So because the encroachment is just too much. Because you go to a hospital, doctor, but they are not medical doctors.
Yeah.
So it is important that there's some sanity in the space. But like I said, like everybody has said, it has to be done in the right way. If we need to enact a regulation, let's enact it. If we need to do whatever it is to support.
What is done is not wrong.
Yes.
It can be improved.
It can be improved, yeah. But see, I agree with you on the societal penchant for accolades.
Yes.
You see, with nothing to show for. With absolutely nothing to show for.
Form over substance.
Form over substance. And you see, we have to restructure or rewire even the way our public institutions and other institutions even reward results. You can be the best performing in your unit or everywhere. If you don't produce a master's degree, you are stuck.
Yeah.
I know somebody who went somewhere for a role. For a role.
Yeah.
And they told the person had over 16 years experience. But just that he was working in an environment with the first degree, which didn't require that you need to be promoted to show a master's. He enters a public institution. They say, oh, you need 8 years post-master's experience.
Yes.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
No. What I'm saying is that
there's nothing wrong with that.
No. Wait. You see,
there's nothing wrong with
I'm trying to say
that is more important than
what I'm trying to say is that it is the society's penchant to place value on paper over
performance.
Yeah. That is why everybody is going in.
And in the labor market, the labor market is actually discounting this. People have mastered, but they are doing work that maybe
People don't care. But at base, it's indicative of what you can do.
Indicative.
So you need it to be able to measure.
No, so for somebody who has indicated that for 16 years I've been a top performer,
What do you need?
You understand?
actually outside
the job
treasure that.
So it's a bigger conversation. We should encourage GTEC to do what it has to, but it has to be done in the right way.
Thank you.
It's not wrong.
Thank you so much. Yes. This one says, Obi, great job. I am Isaac Kofi Nyansen, PhD. I end it, Charlie. And he's with CSIR, BRRI. The Director of Training at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kweku, Says Obi, we tire before the PhD, so we need to be accorded the title. Doc, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's been great having our guest on the show this afternoon, Frederick Emisa, who is technical advisor to the Minister in charge of Finance of the Republic, a professor and a proper professor, Godfred A. Buckman, Professor of Finance and Economics, University of Ghana, Legon, Nana Eduna II, spokesperson for the Ghana Cocoa Farmers Association and the Cocoa Entrepreneur, joined us via Zoom. Richard Ahiagba, soon to be called Dr. Richard Ahiagba, Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party. And at least for us lawyers...
After that, his party will win the election. We're going to be back to
at least for us lawyers, there is not much controversy around the usage of that title, apart from a few quack lawyers here and there. So lawyer Kofi Bentel, proper lawyer and senior Vice President
to pronounce
Imani.
That lawyer is a preface we can use.
No, it's either you use that or the
learned people.
Thank you so very much. My name is Philip Osei Bonsu. I'm permitted to use the Esquire. So Philip Osei Bonsu Esquire. And
you've done great.
Thank you. I sat in for the regular host, lawyer Samson Ladi, and have a great day. And we'll be back. Proper lawyer. We'll be back next week. Good afternoon.